have issued a 48-hour ultimatum to government to take action over the murder of the two Embu brothers. We bring you the story of COVID-19 survivors on a day that the country has reported 1,225 new cases. Well, talk to us via social media platforms as CTV Kenya, Joel Chacha M on Twitter, as well on Facebook, CTV Kenya and Joel Chacha. Send in an SMS via 111 We begin with matters politics. Kakamega Senator Cleopas Malala has asked the ODM leader Raila Odinga to allow the IBC body led by Wafula Chebukati to work independently and stop politicizing its operations. ODM MPs have recently been demanding the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission not to handle any procurement until the commission is fully constituted. The leaders, who spoke during the burial of David Nyakwamba, father of Homa Bay Senator Moses Kajwang at Wango Village, told IBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati not to purchase any election materials. They argued that the electoral body is currently unable to productively control any matter concerning the next general election.
Mimi nataka kusema kwamba mmesikia jana watu wa ODM wakiwa kule Kisii wakisema sasa ati Wafula Chebukati afukuzwe kutoka kwa IBC. We want to tell ODM, hawezi kuwa mchezaji tena wewe ndio unachagua referee. Tafadhali fanyeni kazi yenu. This time round we want to meet you on a neutral ground. Hamwezi amua ni nani anaenda kukuwa IBC chairman. Fanyeni kazi yenu. Wacha serikali ifanye kazi yake. Majina ya wale commissioners imekuja katika bunge. Wacha bunge ifanye kazi yake. So we want to tell them, sisi tuko comfortable na wale commissioners wowote ambao watakuwa wa IBC. Sisi tutafanya kazi nao.
Meanwhile, National Assembly Public Accounts Committee Chairman Opiyo Wandayi has accused the Office of the Controller of Budget of abetting corruption in the county governments through continuous release of funds, even where there was evidence of fiscal management. Wandayi at the same time called on the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to move in and conduct thorough investigations into the fiscal mismanagement of the counties, or rather in the counties, that has resulted into employees failing to get their salaries on time.
Controller of budget. The controller of budget must come in and rein in these county governments, because it's a requirement of the law, both the Constitution and the Controller of Budget Act, that before the controller of budget authorizes release of funds to any county government, he or she must be satisfied that that county has utilized the funds that were transmitted earlier in a prudent and lawful manner. That seems not to be happening. And that points to a failure on the Office of the Controller of Budget, which failure cannot be countenanced. But secondly, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission needs to move in with speed and carry out investigations to unearth, if possible, any criminal activities that could have occasioned this very, very unfortunate state of affairs. And whosoever is found to be culpable should be dealt with according to the law. By which I mean, should be taken to court and charged, and if possible.
On to other news, university student leaders have rebuked the murder of the two Embu brothers, terming it as poorly investigated. They're now demanding for justice to be served, a failure to which they're issuing a 40-hour ultimatum to government for protests from universities countrywide if no action is taken. Our reporter Sheila Ngetich filed the following report.
As the dust on the death of the two Embu brothers is yet to settle following their burial yesterday, university student leaders have broken their silence and now demand that the police officers involved from the Manyata police station should be brought to book immediately.
Police custody has proven beyond any reasonable doubt to be too dangerous for youth, as demonstrated in Embu. We have a situation in Kenya where a police will arrest you without any sheet charge. We have seen many comrades around the campuses or even outside the campuses They have been killing us in campuses, and today they are now outside, even following us outside. The NPS, the National Police Service, to arrest all police officers at the station where the two brothers were booked before their brutal murder under unclear circumstances.
Autopsy reports indicated that the two siblings suffered from multiple injuries on their heads and hands, prompting the student leaders to ask the government to fit police officers with body cameras to avoid cases of harassment.
Body cameras to record the illegalities and crimes they commit while on duty, harassing Kenyans. And more so, we are speaking on behalf of the comrades.
In their expression of dissatisfaction, the student leaders now threaten to suspend normal learning and hold demonstrations following the rise in attacks on the youth.
So we are asking the government that within 48 hours to effective from now, we are going to storm the streets with all the comrades to have peaceful suspension of learning activities in the institutions of higher learning in Kenya, should there be no action taken.
As the university student leaders demand for an iron fist in police reforms, all eyes are set on the government as the quest for justice for the two slain Embu brothers begins. Shilangatich, Switch TV, Nairobi.
We shift our focus now to matters health. It's hardly possible to find someone whose life has not changed in one way or another because of COVID-19. Our reporter Harry Chimea brings us the story of COVID-19 survivors in the country as they share the experiences of living through a pandemic and how it has transformed their lives. Meanwhile, 1,225 people have tested positive, 1,318 have recovered, and 17 late deaths have been reported. Take a look.
And very weak for that matter. So I suspected that I had malaria. So I went to hospital and I was tested positive of malaria. But when I shared my travel history, they were advised to take me to Magadi for testing.
It started with body fatigue, just not feeling well. It's a bit like a flu, but very continuous.
In the days that followed, from day to day, it got worse. Real high fever, crazy muscle pains all over, muscle pains which were really bad and strange, not something I've experienced before.
These are just but a few individuals out of the 207 million globally who have contracted COVID-19. Different stories, same script, surviving COVID-19.
Sleepless nights, fever, at night you start talking to yourself wondering, is it going to get worse? And always that fear hanging over you that it will move to your breathing, which is the scariest thing.
The other thing is that the isolation was very stressful because you were enclosed in a room until you recover. And so you're not allowed to go outside and not even go out in the sun. And it really made me appreciate that there are many things we take for granted.
Having experienced different challenges from anxiety to isolating to stigma to acquiring medicines, this is their plea to Kenyans.
I've lost 3 people to COVID. 3 people that I know. This thing, it's not gone. People are behaving like it's over. I mean, since it's been around for almost 2 years. So the social distance still is necessary.
I think there's a level of negligence that is happening around. I think that is something we can improve in, and we can improve on as people. We need to be reminded that our health is our personal responsibility.
All I can give you is my own personal opinion and my own personal experience. And I had COVID, my family had COVID. I definitely think that right now, vaccine is the only treatment, the only approach that's been taken around the world. So, I'm a supporter of that.
The sound of alarm is loud and clear. Survivors all over share their stories in hope that we stay alert and stay safe. So mask up, observe proper hygiene, social distance, and follow all the necessary guidelines as we unite and fight COVID-19. Reporting for Switch TV, my name is Harriet Chimea.
Thank you, Harry Chimea. Away from that, the conversation in the political arena has been around economic models, from bottom-up economic model propagated by Deputy President William Ruto to the recently unveiled model by Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi, dubbed Uchumi Bora kwa wote pesa mkononi. Tonight, our reporter Flora Limuki elaborates more on trickle-down and bottom-up economic models.
In recent days, economic models have been the main topics of discussion among the political elites, with specific attention to trickle-down and bottom-up models. But what more lies to these two terms? In a simple language, trickle-down economic model means empowering the top corporations in the country with a notion that the income made will benefit the common mwananchi, of which this has not been the case. On the other hand, bottom-up economic model aims at empowering the citizens, for instance, the medium and small enterprises, which account for the largest workforce in the country, in a bid to generate revenue and further spur economic growth. Let's get an expert's point of view.
When we talk of a trickle-down economy, we are talking of an economy that starts from the top to the bottom. And in a very simple term, because we've identified who is at the top. The person who are at the top are the big corporates, the government parastatals, the multinationals, and big manufacturing companies. They are in that category. So when we talk of a trickle-down economy, we are talking of a government that formulates policies that favor this class of individuals. And some of the policies include tax holidays. In the bottom-up economy, we are looking at institutions or individuals or businesses that are at their micro levels, which means it is the people who are doing their small businesses. We are now not laying emphasis on the big companies, but we are laying emphasis on the small businesses. That is why we are talking of mama mbogas, we are talking of motorbike riders, saloon operators, the guys who do muturas, the guys who do mitumbas, the guys who do catering and those kind of businesses. So emphasis is laid to them because they form the majority of the population.
Experts say that trickle-down has worked in developed countries like South Korea and Taiwan, but this model has been unsuccessful in most developing countries due to existence of large gap between the rich and the poor. The United States of America has adopted the bottom-up model due to a strong middle class and bottom-lower citizenry, hence boosting a sustainable economy.
Currently, you had Joe Biden really laying a lot of emphasis on this model. Okay? He says that it is now time that we use the bottom-up and the middle-up economic model. Why? Is because the economy of the US is majorly driven by the middle class and the bottom end.
In short, bottom-up approach emphasizes on the participation of local community in development initiatives so that they can select their own goals and means of achieving them, while trickle-down approach is considered as development planned by the government, who also lead the process, hence leaving minimal opportunity for people's participation in development efforts.
Thank you, Flora Limuki, for that informative piece. Keep the conversation going via social media platforms. Sweet TV Kenya, Joel Chacha M on Twitter, as well on Facebook, Sweet TV Kenya and Joel Chacha. Send in an SMS via 111 444 111. We now take a short commercial break. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Breaking Today. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Michael Maithia. Moving on, concerns have been raised following reduced exclusive breastfeeding rates among mothers in Kiambu County during the COVID-19 period, with statistics showing a 5% drop over the last 1 year. County Nutrition Coordinator Rachel Wanjugu says the drop may be attributed to the various myths surrounding COVID-19 virus and its vaccine among lactating mothers that might have scared some mothers, making them avoid breastfeeding.
They say breastfeeding is a superpower only mothers can possess, and it is also the best nutrition one can give to the little. But for Kiambu County mothers, this might not be the case.
This is young, maybe the adolescent mothers, is that they are fearing to breastfeed, that their breast or maybe will lose shape. But we want to encourage the mothers, whether they are young or old, to continue breastfeeding. Once a mother, always a mother.
Reduced exclusive breastfeeding rates among mothers in this county have been a major cause of concern, with Health Ministry being called upon to clear the air on whether there's a correlation between COVID-19 and breastfeeding to assure mothers that there is no risk.
COVID-19 has caused a lot of havoc, I can say, especially when you relate it to caregiving practices or with young children, because most parents found all their children at home, which means they were not able to go and work. And because of that,
according to the County Nutrition Coordinator Rachel Wanjugu, in January last year, the county's breastfeeding rates were 88.7% and has dropped to 83.5% in January this year.
Currently, we are at 82%, and we are hoping to raise this despite the COVID status. We are encouraging the mothers that despite there being COVID, even when a mother has COVID, they should continue breastfeeding. And when we say exclusive breastfeeding, we are saying breastfeeding without giving any other feed apart from breast milk for 6 months unless prescribed drugs or medication.
Breastfeeding is a mother's gift to herself, her baby and the earth. Here, new mothers or mothers-to-be are being urged to embrace the same. Majibu Kisao for Switch TV.
We now cross borders. Our focus on politics. Zambia's opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema has taken an early lead in the country's presidential election over incumbent Edgar Lungu. According to the first results from the Electoral Commission, Hichilema tallied 171,604 votes versus the 110,178 garnered by Lungu in the results for 15 of the Southern African nation's 156 constituencies, as a reporter Lilian Maina reports.
Include perceived Lungu strongholds, suggesting that Hichilema has gained ground since the last elections in 2016, where he lost by a slim margin in a contested vote marred by allegations of rigging by Lungu. A total of 296,210 votes were cast in those constituencies, representing a 71.75% turnout rate. Lungu, who is 64 years and has been in power since the year 2015, faces a potentially tight contest against Hichilema, popularly known as Hitch, a businessman who has criticized the president's management of an economy in great turmoil. The first results, initially expected yesterday, were delayed after counting went on overnight because of the huge voter turnout and because political parties objected to the Electoral Commission's initial figures, which differed from those from monitors on the ground. Violence broke out in the northwestern province, which is a Hichilema stronghold, where 2 people, including a chairman of the ruling Patriotic Front Party, were killed. Lungu has now placed blame on Hichilema's United Party for National Development. Zambia's Electoral Commission has also launched an investigation into the chairman's murder. Investors are closely watching the outcome of Thursday's election. The Southern African country is highly indebted and suffered the continent's first pandemic-era sovereign default in November. International Monetary Fund support, already broadly agreed, is on hold until after the vote. For Switch TV, I'm Lilian Maina.
Now, many thanks for staying with us. My name is Cedric Oronje, and now it's time for sports. Now, to start us off on a good note, Ferdinand Muro Manyale has once again broken the national record and is the first Kenyan to run a sub-10 in the 100 meters. The 25-year-old University of Nairobi student achieved a track meet in Australia earlier in today in the